Are you comfortable with Odell Beckham Jr.'s deal, Jason?
No. And, you know, this has been a real change for me because when I heard the first news, I was very comfortable with it. You look at it and say you have great players, you want great players to get paid. I will say great journalism sometimes makes you rethink things, and that's what Seth Wickersham did in his piece on ESPN.com, specifically about Odell Beckham Jr. There was one portion of that that really stood out to me when I read about it. He was talking about how after the catch, things were overwhelming, and it quickly became uncontrollable, talking about handling the fame specifically for Odell Beckham Jr. This was in the beginning for him, when he's supposed to be earning. He just said he's earned this new deal. He was in his earning opportunity to go out, and you really read that piece, find yourself questioning whether or not he loved the game, whether or not he had the drive for the game. That's concerning to me because when I see a moment that's uncontrollable for somebody because of the celebrity around it, in my personal experience, that's not something that you get better at. Not being able to handle the moment isn't something you can practice, and it's not something that gets easier for people. Now there's even more pressure on him. It makes me wonder if he's mentally there to handle that.
I mean, it all depends on what your definition of handling the moment is. I am uncomfortable with this deal for the sake of Odell Beckham. I think the Giants got a steal. If you look at the base salary here on the extension, which is $18 million a year, factor in this season, which they didn't rip up, over the course of the next 6 seasons, he'll make $16.4 million. That's $400,000 more than Sammy Watkins, who has 120 fewer catches, 1,400 fewer yards, 13 fewer receiving touchdowns, and 3 fewer Pro Bowls. And, oh, yeah, he hits the market again in 3 years when the market for receivers will rise, and he'll hit it again. So there's a very strong chance that Odell, who could be statistically the best receiver ever to that point, will have made less money in his career than Sammy Watkins. Dominique Foxworth, our colleague, put it perfectly on Twitter. You don't go to a wedding and only congratulate the groom. So when Odell signed this contract, everyone's saying, congrats, Odell. No one's saying congrats to the Giants because they're the real winners here. And you talked about how he handled the fame when he was playing. If you had the fame you have now as the rock star heartthrob of ESPN, amazing country singer, at 21 or 22 years old, you don't think you would be consumed by the fame? You don't think it would be a little overwhelming? I actually applaud him for being that open with the public.
But I'll go back to my personal experience. The people I was around that were at that level of fame at 21, 22 aren't handling it any better at 32. Like, there's a point here where we want to say, hey, you're just going to get better at that. You can't practice that. You can't practice what it feels like to not be able to go anywhere. And that was never my life, but that's Odell Beckham Jr.'s. Then the article talks about how he had to escape to L.A. where he could just blend in because his celebrity had gotten to the point that he needed to go somewhere where he could just be invisible. That's not something you can prepare for. I grew up with one of the guys in NSYNC, and he'll tell you that it was difficult to come in and figure out how to just live, how to go to the mall, how to work around that. And if you're not positioned for that, if you're not mentally wired for that, I don't think you become mentally wired.
Did his music suffer?
Well, he doesn't really work as much as he used to.
So if his music suffered, they'll cut him. Simple as that. Let's just talk about what it's about. If we're talking about Odell's off-the-field issues, which is what? Fighting a net, getting in a scuffle in a game, which hockey players do every day. Are we talking about him doing a dog peeing celebration?
No, I don't care about any of that.
Let's look at the numbers. And why does it have to be, oh, what is he going to do going forward? That $90 million or $95 million should be for what he's done so far, which is
it's for what
the most receptions ever for a person in an early career. It shouldn't be that way, though. Baseball players aren't like that. They get paid for what they've done. Football should be the same way.
Nobody in any walk of life, no business, no matter what it is, and professional athletes aren't particularly aggrieved in this. What we're doing right now, or the guy working at home, nobody gets paid on what you've done. They all get paid on what you're going to do. And by the way, I had all these brilliant points I wanted to make, but I'm now picturing you walking around the Las Vegas Mall with Justin Timberlake, and it's a problem for me. I got to move on. Hold on real quick. To Dominique's point, to your point, all right?
Yes, give it to me.
And by the way, I'm going to have Dominique on my show, The Will Cain Show, 3 to 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN News later, because I saw the same analogy, man. But here's why nobody gives the New York Giants congratulations on this day. It's because all of the risk has shifted to their side of the equation. Odell's going to get paid. And whatnot, if Jason's concerned about Odell's ability to handle pressure and fame, or others worried about his occasional off-field behavior, do you not accept, Andrew, do you not see that the risk is now all on the Giants? They're the ones that have taken the $95 million worth of risk, And so, yeah, it's a little hard to go, way to go Giants today, no matter who you signed up.
Well, yes, I don't think that should be the case. I think it's all perception. Yes, they take the risk going forward, but who took the risk the first 5 years when he was out there busting his butt for lower than market value? There are tons of receivers who made more money than Odell Beckham that weren't half as productive. So that shouldn't be okay. But there should be something to say that if your value is something this, if your production is this, you should be paid that way. That's why I'm always an advocate for Aaron Donald holding out, Khalil Mack holding out, because he deserves more than $8 million a year because he's better than a player than that.
He has the opportunity to affect his future in the beginning deal, right? In that first deal, he has the opportunity to affect what he's going to make in the next deal. What we find out in the Wickersham article is that mentally it was trying on him, that at times he wasn't taking care of his body. He was doing all of these great things, but he was doing it in an unfocused way. If I told you you had the next 4 years to work your tail off, never take a day off, and you can get $95 million at the end of it, how hard are you going to work, right? He didn't do that. He got there off of tremendous talent.
He worked hard.
Tremendous
He worked
ability.
hard. There's no question his work ethic.
Listen, I'm also not going to let you put me in the same sitting as Odell Beckham. So if you told me I can work my butt off and get $90 million, yes, I would do it. But if you also told me that I had the God-given ability that whether or not I'm overwhelmed or maybe didn't put as much as I in on the offseason and still get $90 million because I'm that much better than everybody else, let's just go to the field. He might be overwhelmed. He may not have worked as hard. But on the field, was his product any different? No, it was better than everybody else's.
I'm just saying, I think it's obvious. I think it's clear that the risk has shifted dramatically to the Giants side of the equation. So you would say that's where the fear factor is. Odell's got his money, and hopefully he'll continue to live up to those expectations. But will the Giants?